She told me to get out right there at the Thanksgiving table, voice flat as a knife laid across the turkey platter. No fight leading up to it, no raised voices, just my mother announcing I'd been leaning on the family too hard while I was the one who'd been propping everyone up for years without a single thank you. The carving knife stopped mid-slice. Forks hovered. My dad focused on mashing potatoes like his life depended on it. My brothers wouldn't meet my eyes. In that frozen second, a switch flipped inside me. Not rage, but a cold, crystal understanding. If they really saw me as the needy one, they were in for a rude awakening about who truly needed whom. My name is Elena. I'm 45, a senior project manager who runs multi-million-dollar accounts without breaking a sweat. Yet at home, I've always been the difficult daughter. The one who's too ambitious, too self-sufficient, secretly resented for having her act together. My mother, Margaret, controls the mood in any room she enters. When she's pleasant, the air lightens. When she turns frosty, everyone braces. That day, she was Arctic. Dad, Richard, poked at his food in silence. My older brother Mark scrolled an unlit phone screen. Younger brother Tyler hid a smug grin behind his beer, like he'd been waiting for this moment forever. They'd all come to me when things fell apart. Mark's DUI lawyer fees, Tyler's kids' private school, our parents' mounting medical and house expenses. I covered it all quietly, automatically. I thought that's what family did. I thought it would finally make me indisputably one of them. Margaret always said the women in our family hold everything together. Turns out she meant just one woman, me. The boys were never expected to step up. They were trained to pass the burden along. And I accepted it, calling it loyalty. But her words, "You need to stand on your own and stop depending on us," landed like a verdict. The irony burned, but I stayed calm. I finished my plate while strained chatter restarted around me, everyone acting like the bomb hadn't just gone off. Later, as coffee was poured, she repeated it louder, slower, driving the point home. No one challenged her. Their quiet complicity hurt worse than the accusation. That's when the fog lifted. I excused myself, stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, and saw a stranger who'd finally woken up. I'd never been fully inside the circle. I'd just been orbiting it, paying admission. Back at the table, I slipped on my jacket. Margaret noticed first, irritation flashing across her face. Leaving already? I looked straight at her. Yes. Back to my place. A flicker of unease crossed her eyes before she masked it. No one tried to stop me. The drive home felt different, the winter wind sharp against the windows. In my condo, I didn't collapse or rage. I poured a glass of wine, opened my laptop, and started pulling records. Years of transfers, mortgage supplements, the lake house utilities, private tuition, emergency loans, hundreds of thousands I'd funneled their way, without fanfare. One by one, I terminated the recurring payments. Not vengeance, simple compliance with what they'd demanded. The lake house was the big one. I'd signed it over to my parents years ago as a generous gesture, but my attorney had insisted on a protective clause. Any legal challenge or attempt to cut me out would trigger immediate reversion to my name. I'd thought it overly cautious then. Now it felt like destiny. Days later, Tyler blew up my phone. The lake house is dark, no power, no heat. What did you do? I waited a beat. I stopped covering expenses I never use. He ranted about obligation and blood ties. I listened, then said, "You all told me to stop depending on the family. Consider it done." Click. Dad left a hesitant voicemail about working things out. Then came the certified letter. Margaret's lawyer demanding the court invalidate the lake house transfer, claiming duress and misunderstanding. I called my attorney immediately. He reviewed it, chuckled darkly. They just activated the clause themselves. Title reverts to you today, no hearing required. We arranged to sit down at the old corner cafe we used to visit as kids. They filed in looking battle-ready, Margaret rigid, Richard defeated, Mark ashen, Tyler seething. I waited in a corner booth with a folder thick as a phone book. Margaret started strong. "Enough games, Elena. Turn everything back on." I slid the folder across. Bank statements, receipts, totals spanning 2 decades. Richard flipped through, face paling. All this you paid? Every cent, I said, while being told I was the burden. Tyler muttered something about nobody asking me to play martyr. You never had to ask, I replied. You just assumed I always would. Then I laid out the reversion document. You contested the gift. That triggered ownership returning to me. The lake house is mine again, because you tried to seize it. The color drained from Margaret's face. For once, she had nothing. The table went dead quiet. I spoke softly. This isn't punishment. It's consequence. You wanted me independent? Congratulations, I am. Completely. Margaret whispered. We're still your family. You were supposed to be mine too, I said, standing. I placed a crisp $5 bill on the table, the price of a coffee, a meaningless token for years of invisible support. That's what's left. The rest I gave freely, and you never noticed. I walked out. The bell above the door chimed like a period at the end of a long sentence. The weeks after were peaceful in a way I'd never known. No more emergency calls, no guilt gnawing at me. The lake house title arrived clean and final. Dad sent a brief text. We're managing. Good, I thought. Maybe they'll learn. I've started planning a solo trip there in spring. Just me, the water, and silence I finally control. Setting boundaries didn't break the family. It revealed what was already fractured.